Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And newsflash, you can't believe the media.
Oh, shocker.
And now the media can't believe the media either. After last week's catastrophic landslide re-election of Donald Trump, now we've even got people on the left scratching their heads and being like, what happened? The media told us this wasn't going to happen.
I don't normally use the term cope. It's more of like something you would say than me. But at this point, it's like the cope is just ridiculous.
I don't even know if it's, I can't believe it. It's like they believed their own hype for so long that they didn't realize that they were losing the like 95% of the country, 95% of the audience.
I think the media in Hollywood in general, and the media especially, is that they kept spitting lies and bullcrap, and they kept, they were trying desperately to make that the truth, so much so that they forgot that that wasn't the truth. And then they believed it as the truth. And I think that's why. And now instead of admitting, well, some places are admitting. I mean, to be fair, credit's due. They're admitting maybe we screwed up. And to those people, I'll give you credit because at least you're admitting that maybe we got it wrong. But there's some other places they're just doubling down and causing more issues and fear and fear mongering.
I'll actually give Cenk over at the Young Turks. I'll give him props because he said, like, even election night, he's like, how did our side get it so wrong, and what can we do now to get people back?
I don't know. Here's a thought. Maybe when you keep setting yourself up in echo chambers that you only hear what you want to hear parroted back to yourself, you don't have a real grasp on reality. I think by the fact that you've controlled by fear for so long that you weren't allowed to ever question anything, or you were a bigot, a racist, you were unpersoned, you were labeled so that you could be stepped over and they could feel morally superior to you. If they had actually just asked people and let the people answer honestly instead of being too afraid to be allowed to say anything because you weren't allowed to, they might have seen this coming. But basically, it was just they had it set up so much with going so far to the left that everybody else was like, oh, right, Yahtzees for not liking things like a cartoon. That people were just too afraid. You weren't allowed to say the truth. And even if you tried, you were just labeled and unpersoned and stepped over, and then the high-fiving each other. But that didn't mean that you were winning. That just means that you pushed more and more people further away.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. It's not hard. It's not rocket science.
Yeah. And you're basically, again, all of our media is coming from these little blue dots all over the country. Most of the country went red this time. Not, I don't think it was willingly in a lot of cases or like enthusiastically. I think it was like, what other choice do we
Anyone
have?
but them.
Anybody but them.
Yeah, and that right there, that's even worse for you.
That's what burns them more than anything is they were willing to put Trump back in over picking more Democrats, right? There, and it's not just the presidency; it was also the House and the Senate,
right? And all the swing states went red.
All this, like, I mean, I cannot. That is a catastrophic loss, almost as bad as with Reagan. Like the Democrats, they have to look at themselves and be like, "What did we do?" And it's actually very simple.
The list is very long.
I mean, the very root of it is you lost the plot, you lost Middle America. The reason their ratings are slumping, the reason that Hollywood is collapsing now, is that Middle America is tuning out a lot of the product.
And then just to their arrogance, the whole time until they realized they were starting to lose, and then they were like, "Oh shit." Well, uneducated people voted for other the uneducated, the moronic idiot blue collar workers, unlike us intelligent smart people, all voted for And it's like, no, you right, even from then you were unpersoning people, and then as soon as you lost, your takeaway wasn't like, oh shit, we lost because maybe we were doing something wrong. You turned around and started blaming the minorities that you were like supposed to be helping, and what did you think was going to happen? I'm like. Anybody paying attention, even if you're watching the trends with movies coming out of Hollywood and TV shows and what's been failing, what's been succeeding, you should have seen this coming. People are over it. They don't want politics shoved into everything. They're tired. They're just tired.
Yeah, so let's talk about this because even left-wingers are turning on left-wing media. And this is...
You need to, because if they're still perpetuating the stuff that isn't true, you really need to question it.
Right. Bernie Sanders called them out. I know that there are a lot of left-wing YouTube channels that after the massive landslide victory of Donald Trump, a lot of left-wing YouTube channels lost a bunch of subscribers. There were a bunch of them complaining, like, please don't go, because people are like, what the hell? I've been listening to you. You said there's no way that he could come back, that Harris was way up. And now we've got Sharon Waxman from The Wrap, which is one of the bigger Hollywood sites. And she's like, I can't listen to my own side anymore because they've lost the plot.
Well, but the thing is, here's what's going to happen. Because everyone was afraid to say anything. And for valid reasons. I mean, let's be honest here. You have valid reasons, especially in Hollywood. Your whole livelihood depended on whether or not you know. And if you weren't political enough, you stay out of it. You're in trouble for that too. And we kept telling you guys the whole time. We have told you repeatedly. There are a lot of conservatives in Hollywood. We kept telling you guys this. They're not allowed to say anything, but there are a lot of them there. And now they're like, oh shit, it's not a shock, really.
It should not shock you, but it's still shocking people. But I think it's one of those things where it was like everybody knew the emperor wasn't wearing clothes. They were just who was going to be the first one to say it. And the American people basically said, no, the emperor's not wearing clothes. You could have pivoted 2 years ago. You could have started, and they didn't. They actually went harder in the paint. Like as it became more and more apparent that Trump was probably going to be the Republican nominee and that he wasn't going to go to jail forever and he wasn't going to get sued into oblivion. They're just like, that's okay. Nobody's going to vote for him again. Like, no, nobody in your friend circle. But outside of LA, outside of Portland, outside of New York City, guess what? The rest of the country is like, we can't do this anymore.
Side note, it's always funny to me that they keep going on about you elected a felon. It's always hilarious to me because meanwhile, people you guys have voted for have done a lot of shitty things too. The whole Clinton sex scandal. Biden's out there sniffing people all the time, and there's been a lot of accusations about things that went on with him back when he was more with it. And then his son, he didn't get elected, but there's that whole thing. There's different people that were associating with other people, like in a certain island, a certain rapper singer. There's been a lot of people associated with them in politics, and that's okay because you voted for them. They weren't. Just because you're not convicted of something doesn't mean that you're innocent either. And just because you are convicted of something doesn't mean that you're guilty. It's just, you guys leverage stuff to go after people and try to stop them any way you could. And that's something else that came across people too. Win by any means necessary, even if you have to cheat, is a problem with people.
Yeah. Yeah, so let's talk about this, man. We really got into it. Just real quick, guys, check out clownfishminus.com. That's our plus club. It's a minus club, but we have lots of merch out there. We do original podcasts over there. Thank you so much for the support. We don't do endless live streams on this channel, so the support definitely helps. So should I read what Waxman
Yes, go ahead. Here? Sorry, we took a whole detour. I'm just saying I don't understand how they're so surprised.
Because I don't think they really are. I think they thought if they told you what you were supposed to believe long enough that it would manifest reality.
That's what I think they do. I think they think if they keep spreading a lie long enough, it becomes a truth in it, but it's still a lie.
So this is Sharon Waxman, who's in charge of the Wrap. She said, if you're like me, you haven't turned on the news since last Tuesday when Donald Trump won the election. Personally, I can't bear to listen to another minute of wisdom from Joy Reid, my friend Lawrence O'Donnell, or the admirable Rachel Maddow. I can't hear Anderson Cooper or Abby Phillip. Can't abide getting the lowdown on NPR from the New York Times or the View ladies. I can't do it.
The View ladies are just ridiculous.
Oh, I'll tell you what I think's going to happen. I'll tell you what I think's going to happen after this. She said, I can't do it. I'm not saying I'll never watch or listen to them again, but am I alone here? My entire body recoils from listening to more claptrap from the same claptrapping apparatus. The media got it wrong, fatally wrong. And the media can't just pivot into the next cycle of looking around the room and asking, what just happened? As if it had nothing to do with it.
Yes, exactly. Because everybody's starting to realize what we've all been telling you. The media, social media, Hollywood, ground zero. That's why they're losing their shit about Twitter so bad.
Yep. The room is too small, the audience insular. The results were decisively not what was expected, and in some way the media has forfeited its mandate as a result. I speak as a member of the media and also someone who critiques the media and who believes that the First Amendment, the free exchange of information and opinion, is the indispensable pillar of democracy. But we have to step back and look at the wreckage. Our system of information failed for a second time on two major fronts. The media failed to gauge the actual mood of the American electorate, wish casting the competent, non-felonious Kamala Harris, and it failed to speak persuasively to voters who rejected the collective wisdom of legacy media, collective wisdom, after being told who Trump is, what he did, et cetera, et cetera. None of it landed. We're talking to ourselves.
Well, because anybody who took any time to look into the accusations would have found out that it wasn't true.
Yeah. She said, sadly, people are choosing to blame the voters. I'm seeing a lot of this.
Yes, and minorities especially, because that,
How progressive of you.
Listen, though, anybody who's followed pop culture for any amount of time should not be surprised by this at all, because we've seen it over and over again. People don't watch The Acolyte, and we're talking everyone globally, different races, gender, sexual orientations, and their answer was to blame misogyny. If you didn't watch it, you're a misogynist, you're a racist, you're a bigot. And the thing is, they keep doing it, even to the people they're supposed to be quote unquote representing, because they represent them poorly. And then people who don't like it, they get labeled too. And this has been the same thing. It's just now it's on the grander scale with the media.
Yeah. She's saying, well, how did they lose people? And they lost people to, now this is where I get concerned. They lost people to YouTube and the podcasts, right? That's what she's saying.
I'm hearing it a lot. People are watching YouTube anymore. They're not watching the news because they don't feel the news is honest.
Right. And one of the biggest mistakes Harris made was not going on Rogan. I think she should have gone on Rogan. Mm-hmm. Another huge mistake she made leading up to the election was when it was very clear she was losing middle America. What did she do? Oh, she went and got a whole bunch of Hollywood celebrities to stump for her. I'm like, that is the opposite. Like, you need to go, you had Donald Trump serving French fries, and you're calling in Beyonce.
I think they overestimated the general public's love of Hollywood anymore, because a couple election cycles ago it might have worked, but people have realized that Hollywood hates them. They do not like you. They have gone out of their way to say the representation that they want is representation of American people when it's not. And they have, and if you didn't like it, you were called names. If a movie was not good and you didn't like it, it was because you were a terrible person. And we've seen it over and over again, and people just got tired of it. People also started to realize maybe the media lies, and they've been checking things on their own. I'm not surprised by it anyway. Now, there's a dangerous side to that too, because it doesn't mean that the people they're telling the truth either. You really need to take the time and research things for yourself, especially if it's something, a major accusation, and you're not sure about it. Don't just believe it because we said it. Don't just believe it because the news told you that. You really need to go double check it and find information on it to verify.
So this is kind of like she can't wrap her head around this.
It's really not hard to wrap your head around.
No, she's like, well, what do we do? She said, I'm not yet seeing the self-examination.
You're not, because they're not doing it.
They're not doing. A few people are. Bernie Sanders.
A few are, and to those people I give credit.
The Young Turks, I will give them full credit. I might not agree with everything they say, but Cenk actually was one of the first ones, and Anna Kasparian, she's actually been out there. She's been the one that's been saying it the whole time, and they act like she was crazy. And they acted like she was taking crazy pills, and then Cenk was out there, and he was like, God, we lost the plot. Like, we shouldn't have, like, even if Trump won, we shouldn't have lost this badly. And that's because you listen to yourself. And then to further cause issues, and it's not even the media's fault necessarily in this one, but to further cause the division to be bigger and have more problems, you have these batshit idiots on the internet shaving their heads, co-opting the South Korean 4B movement. You have them wearing blue bracelets like a scarlet letter, and leaving the country. To poison men. That's a new thing. They're going to poison people. Yes, I saw them send it to you. They're saying all this crazy stuff, and they're like, and blaming minorities. Yes. Because they didn't vote the way they should, because in their head, and they were believing this Project 25 stuff, which has been disproved many, many times. White liberal women are they're insane, yes, and you're making it even worse. And the thing is, you're not hurting anybody but yourself, sweetie. So just stop. You look really nuts. That's what everybody was pushing back against, and it's like, here's the thing: you're just making it worse. We've run this channel now, I think 6 or 7 years we've been doing this, and we've been kind of chronicling the demise of Hollywood and the media. And she's saying that, like, well, there's a stream of misinformation. How do we combat that? The thing is, we were actually giving you the correct information. You didn't want to hear it. Hollywood doesn't want to hear it. The mainstream media doesn't want to hear it. I've often said, you're negative. Well, negativity and lies are not necessarily the same thing. You can be honesty and negativity aren't the same thing. And the whole idea that just because you don't like something is a lie is bullshit. You need to say, what's the actual lie here? Not liking it doesn't make it untrue. The reason people are turning on left-wing media now is the same reason that they started turning on Hollywood a couple of years ago. Mm-hmm. The wokeness and the lack of self-examination. Don't believe your lying eyes, bullshit. Yeah. And then if a movie tanked, it was like, well, it's just a handful of bigots and misogynists that are on YouTube. This is why they tried so hard to shut down YouTube. This is why they tried so hard to go after YouTubers and podcasters and social media personalities and they would try to castigate them. If they couldn't get people to turn them off willingly, then they would have them deplatformed entirely.
Yeah, I think the cancellation mobs and stuff did not help. I think too that you had people like, at first it worked. Like, you know, oh, I don't like this because it's stupid. Well, if you don't like it, you're a terrible person. You're a bigot. You need to uphold that we should be making all these changes because otherwise you're hurting people. And then you're like, oh, I don't want to be a bad person. I don't want to hurt anyone. And then you'd bend the knee, for lack of a better term. And then after a while, it just became everything, no matter what you did. And then people just got tired of it. They're like, you know what? I'm tired of this. I'm standing up.
Yeah.
I'm sick of it. You know what? It's because every time you take it, you give an inch, they take like 10 miles and then tell you you're a shitty person.
She said she's been reluctant to give up on her belief that reporters should aim to report facts.
I agree.
Rather than tell readers how to think.
I agree.
More and more, it seems we're telling people how and what to think.
Right. That's why we tell you here, we will not tell you how to vote because that is your choice. And we would be friends with you either way. Because that's your opinion, your choice, not ours.
This is interesting. She said that she's got to re-examine as a website owner. She has to re-examine how she gets news out there. She said, here at The Wrap, we pivoted into serving news over social media accounts in addition to the website. Yeah, because people aren't going to websites anymore. And honestly, that's a whole nother discussion. Google is making websites a lot harder to find unless you're one of the big sites that pay. But
that pay them?
Yeah, that pay them. But people don't trust websites anymore. Plus, there's so many damn ads. And
I think they don't trust the mainstream media anymore.
She says right now there are far more questions than answers. Hey, Sharon, it's not that hard. Drop us an email. I'll explain it to you like you're 5. It's not that hard. It
really isn't hard. If you didn't let your people run around constantly alienating everyone, you know, if you guys had tried to meet in the middle, I mean, Harris, CNN even did a thing on her. Like she was running pro-Palestine ads in one place and pro-Israel ads in another. And I'm like, and then people found out you stand for nothing, then no one can trust you because it's like, which one of those is what you really believe? I mean, I'm going to disagree with somebody who believes differently than me, but if they stick to their guns, I'm going to give them at least credit because at least they're sticking to their guns. Yeah. You know, it's like she was all over the place trying to pander and it was obvious to everyone. I don't understand it. The media tried desperately. At the end of the day, I think the media knew the truth. They were trying to change the truth. They were trying to belittle people. And people got sick of your shit. The media, you want to succeed? Pivot back to reporting news. Reporting the truth. Not what political bent and your opinion as masquerading as news. What is truly going on that people can trust you again. But they don't trust you now. No. And when YouTubers get it right more than you, they trust them.
Everything that they're accusing the right-wing podcasts of doing, of steering people in one direction, they've been doing it for years. They've been doing it for at least a decade.
They're fear-mongering and masquerading as news. It's fear-mongering. And you're all doubling down on it instead of fixing the problem. At least The Wrap, I give them credit. CEO, chief, editor-in-chief is like, oh, I'm not listening to this
maybe
because...
it's us.
I mean, I will give this person credit because at least they're like taking a step back and being like, a real journalist would take a step back and be like, oh my gosh, you know, maybe we did like everybody else did, but maybe it was the wrong thing to do and maybe we need to be better. Reward that. Obviously, introspection is a good thing. I think it can easily go too far the other way too. And I think we need to remain in center where we were for a long, long time.
She said right now there are more questions than answers. Blaming the voters is lazy. It doesn't address the problem. Yeah, our job is to hold power to account. Time to hold ourselves
exactly.
to account.
I'll give her credit. God. I'll give her credit because what she's saying, she's going like these other people I can't listen to them because they're so they won't, instead of admitting defeat and looking into why, because we're not talking like it was just like it was a massive defeat. And even the places that they had the states that they still got blue, they lost a lot to red. A lot, like a significant amount. Oh, yeah. So it's like even places where they won, they didn't really win by like the margins they needed. I mean, there was enough of a shift that it's concerning. That tells you everything. Yes. People are over your shit. They want you to tell them the news, not tell them what to think. It's gonna take at least a half a decade or more for the left-wing media to pivot. And I think what's going to happen, this is what I talked about at the very beginning, what I think is going to happen, we talked about The View, and we talked about, Rachel Maddow, and we talked about these companies are paying these people ridiculous multi-million-dollar salaries every year to chase away the audience. And I think right now what's going to happen, they're talking about the pivot coming to Warner Brothers, that during the Trump era, things are going to be different. I think they're going to look at this and be like, why do we even keep CNN on the air? Or why do we keep this show on the air? Why do we have The View on the air if The View's obviously... Like if
95% of the country, voted red this time. Why do we have these hens on here paying them how many millions of dollars a year to insult those people?
But they've been, even though people keep telling them the viewership isn't great for the View, it's been dropping off a cliff because people are tired of them. And ABC won't get rid of it.
No, because the people at ABC, at Disney, well, some of them are actually close personal friends.
One of the people up for CEO.
Harris, yeah.
Well, I think her chance at CEO has been shot to shit at this point.
But beyond that, I think they actually believed it because all these people lived in this LA, New York, Portland bubble, and they thought that was the rest of the country because everybody they knew around them, that's how they were feeling about it.
Well, that's what I mean. That's how they were feeling about it. No. Everybody they knew around them, especially you think it's bad for you. I can't imagine being one of the people that live there, like Zachary Levi or somebody, Justine Bateman or whatever, and what they to keep getting work and to keep your friends, how you had to hold everything in and not be able to say anything and listen to people, complain about people like you constantly and not say anything because you weren't allowed to because you knew there'd be repercussions if you
wouldn't
did.
Get a job.
And I mean, we American people felt like we were being a hand over our mouth this whole time. Could you imagine how they felt?
So the flyover states told them to go get fucked, basically. And yeah.
The Amish kicked your ass.
The Amish kicked your ass. Everybody kicked, everybody. So it is going, I cannot stress to you how much things are going to change because we've been seeing leading up to the election, all these companies being like, golly, maybe we should go back to making money and maybe we should get rid of this DEI stuff because it's actually chasing people off.
The DEI stuff has exacerbated the problem that already existed. But beyond that, it's like, and I've heard other people post this, and this is what we've been saying this whole time, is that in the last, I would say 20, not even 20 years, maybe 16 years or so, everything has taken so many steps backwards. Good job. You've reinvented racism. You've reinvented bigotry. You've reinvented all these things, especially in the last 8 years or so. It's gotten way worse. But I keep telling people, and I was talking about you the other day, our kids have never known anything but this. And that's really sad to me because if you're older, you were around when, back in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s and the 2000s, you remember people weren't as bigoted as they are now. We're talking, that's saying something back then. But when we were kids, there was all kinds of diversity and inclusion on screen and no one thought anything of it. 80s, you couldn't tell who was straight, who was gay, whatever. Everybody was androgynous. Didn't matter. Didn't faze anyone. Nobody cared. No one cared. It didn't matter. You didn't matter what celebrity it was. It wasn't a white straight man. People still went to the movie if it looked good, and people would look forward to those movies. But some of the top TV shows were run by black people. It was not a big deal. You guys have literally set us back. When you guys remember to turn your clocks back and not vote us back 50 years. I'm like, yeah, but it's not the way you think it is when you post that. These far left people have put us back so far, and the American people are sick of it. They're just sick of it. The minorities are voting against you because they're tired of it, and then you turn around and call them racist.
Yeah.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
There's no self-reflection.
There is here, at least on the rap, so I'll give her credit. I'll give her credit.
I think individuals, I think the people that are going to make it out of mainstream media and survive, they're going to have to realize that, the flyover states matter. That's a huge portion of your audience. And, you can feel however you want to feel, but they talk about, people not listening to the other side, or you weren't allowed to, and you're going to have to listen. You might not like what you hear, but you're going to have to listen because there's no coming back from this if you don't. And I don't think they're going to. I don't think that the mainstream media is ever going to be the same. The Democrats are never going to be the same after this. And
you listen to people that are in the majority of people in the middle. Don't listen to the extremes on either side. Unfortunately, the extremes on either side is what you always hear from. Go talk to normal people, most people don't want people put in camps. Most people don't think people should have their rights taken away. No, most people don't think that. I'm sure there's some people out there that do, but that's the extreme. And there's always the extreme. Even Donald Trump said in the one thing, he said, there's extreme on the right and there's extreme on the left. He's like, and you have to kind of ignore that. And that's true. It's like, stop listening to the extremes. Listen to the rational middle.
Yep. So we're gonna wrap this up, guys. Very painful lesson. We'll see what the next phase of all this is. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We'll talk later.
Bye.
Join the reef. Go to clownfish-.com. That's clownfish-.com. You will get exclusive access to podcasts and videos and comic strips and more, as well as merch discounts. Check it out. If you were a member, you could get this t-shirt, this dismal t-shirt on our website. You'd get a 10% discount on that. You can also join in the community on clownfish-.com. Thank you so much for the support.